Hi guys, Siegfried here. Welcome to another very interesting presentation. Today we're going to look at how to develop your own color profiles and what you need to know to be able to develop your own color profiles. There's quite a bit of background knowledge which is very helpful in creating color profiles. I always like to start with this image signal path or this illustration showing the image signal entering the camera, being processed and being saved on the SD card. There are three critical areas that I want to highlight for today's discussion. The one is the exposure, exposing the sensor. In other words, managing the performance of the sensor. Remember, it's possible with the right knowledge to have a fair amount of control or managing of how the sensor is performing. Mainly some things like dynamic range and noise and the quality of data can be managed via the amount of reflected light exposing the sensor. It's very important. Keep in mind that we have a link to the processor via the exposure compensation in Workspace, and we're looking at the exposure controller here. Do yourself a favor, here's the exposure formula. See if you see sensor size in here. I've never found sensor size in the... So if we have a two-stop advantage on a deeper depth of field and a lower ISO with less noise, how do we explain the so-called more light theory reducing any noise? I don't see any reference of it in the formula here. Something to think about, very interesting. Then we're going to look at the image creation process. So the image is not created here, the image is captured, so the data is captured by the sensor. Photons to electron conversion, the data package sent off to the processor, and the processor is creating the image. This is important because there are three very interesting options today in the market. The one is Olympus, which worked very closely with Kodak in their fundamental or base image processing technology. Then there's Fuji, who obviously has a strong history in Fujifilm technology, and they present their picture modes in film stock options, which is very interesting and it's very good. It's very difficult to do this because the technology in film is very different to the technology in digital imaging. I've read up some about it. I'm not comfortable to discuss details at this point in time, but the one thing that I've learned and noticed is the complexities, the differences between film and digital, and what a unique situation we have that with Fuji and Olympus, that the one really mastered the bridge from film to a Kodak look, and the other from film to a Fuji look. It does not mean that a camera like Canon or Sony or Panasonic is not interesting. They just followed a bit of a different path, and in my own view I personally really like Canon colors, and if I can't get Olympus cameras in the future or do want something different in the future, I'd probably go for a Canon because I really like the way Canon, they have something similar to Workspace and they have beautiful color. So in terms of creating the color image, we have three parts here. We have the exposure, the finalization of the exposure, we have the image creation portion, and we have the gamma curve or tonal adjustments, which is determining the final look of the image. And you will see all three of these in action when we do the color profiles. That's why it's important to always go back to this flow diagram and just make sure that you appreciate the different steps happening in the digital imaging process. Let's start with a more practical example. Here you have an interesting image which I took last weekend. We visited a very nice old town on the German side of the Bodensee. Wow, and we had such a great day. So here you see a few unique things. You see the deep depth of field here. So you have a scale. On the one end of the scale you have a shallow depth of field, and on the other end of the scale you have a deep depth of field. Social media focus on the shallow depth of field side. In other words, full frame cameras have an advantage there, a creamy background, good subject isolation, a really nice camera, I would say, for portrait photography. But as you turn around and you look in the other direction to a deeper depth of field, things radically change very fast. So when you move on to the middle, where let's say we're now looking at landscapes, there all of a sudden you notice that I can get a deep depth of field, and you would see here at f6.3. Theoretically, the full frame guy will have to take 2 stops higher in terms of aperture to get the same depth of field at the same focus point. Okay? Now, I normally don't care about this. The reason I always emphasize it, because when you look at any Micro Four Thirds YouTube video, almost all of them are always telling us how good full frame is, and full frame this and full frame that. And I think it's important to show the point of turning around and looking to the deep end or the wide end of depth of field, and realize why they want us to focus on the shallow end, the shallow depth of field. Another interesting point that you see here is you don't see any clipping here in the clouds. Now, how did I achieve that? Don't you think that's interesting? And I still have good detail here in the shadow areas. Now, how on earth would a Micro Four Thirds sensor, get to this sort of result? Because I know how to manage my sensor. I understand what's happening in the image processor in terms of image building and tonal adjustments, and I used all these different parts to create this image. But the one area that I really want you to focus on here is nothing on the exposure side. That we'll do another day. I want you to focus on picture modes, on this basic Kodak look which exists until today. Now, I guess you noticed that the presentation might take a little longer, and I purposely did it like this because use this video as a reference, even the color profile creation part, and come back and have a look and refresh what you've learned as you practice using your own camera and workspace. So I'm purposely not trying to keep this presentation short. So coming back to the image processor, remember we have the image processor and workspace, so we have the same technology available here. And go and discover the picture modes. Remember, everything about Micro Four Thirds, Olympus or OM system is a discovery. Once you turn your back on social media and you walk away from the noise of social media, the world opens up to discover a wonderful, really exciting digital photography tool in Olympus and OM system cameras. And we can start with the natural picture mode. So here we have, for me, if I compare these images to older cameras like the DSLRs, the E500 or the E300, for example, I see lots of similarities between even a modern camera like the OM5, which is a version, a copy of the EM1 which was a way better camera than the EM1 Why a way better camera? Because of the processor. So the main difference between the two cameras, the EM1 and the EM1 is the TruePic 9 processor built into the version 3 EM1. It made such a difference. It's like if you're looking for Olympus camera and you're ready to buy something like the EM1, go for the EM1 3. I promise you it's such an awesome camera. Anyhow, so we look at then we can try the vivid mode. Just sit back and enjoy this image. And you can do this when you have time. Go to your raw files, change the camera setting, because what you do in the raw file in Workspace is you change the camera setting to vivid and look at it and enjoy this and get used to the differences in picture modes. We can go, for example, to muted. I never used muted in the past. I always thought, no, it's a lesser quality, maybe it's not. Remember, I also had some noise from social media on my ears. And we're not correcting any deficiencies in color or problems with Olympus. We're discovering Olympus. Remember, we're walking away from the noise in social media, and we really allow ourselves to discover these wonderful cameras. And then a very interesting option is the Eye Enhance, and I'm going to start off with a low option here. So if you study the press releases of new products from Olympus, you learn that the basic Kodak technology is embedded into every processor, image processor. That means in every camera, digital camera. But there's been some improvements in image quality. Those technologies are all built into the Eye Enhance picture mode. The low option looks very similar to the natural picture mode. Standard option looks very similar to the vivid mode for me. And I very seldom, hardly ever use the high option. I find it's a little bit too much for me personally. But I can imagine that in some cases people will prefer this look, because something you can think about, which is also very interesting for me, is where does your color preference come from? How did you develop a particular preference for color? I was born in South Africa, lived more than 30 years in South Africa, and I believe my color association, the preference I have for color, was really developed from childhood in South Africa. The color preference in Europe, I guess, will be a little different, especially Northern Europe. Southern Europe will be closer to Africa most probably, because of the nature, the temperatures hand in hand. So sit back, enjoy, and really discover these picture modes. Because you might decide, I want to use vivid picture mode to create as a base to create my color profiles. Me personally, I selected the natural picture mode. But it doesn't mean you have to use natural. So all depends on the way that you want your images to look like. In fact, I seldom use color profiles because I fell in love with these standard picture modes of Olympus. I get such stunning results. I also get such pleasant results with Workspace. Just a quick example here. Again, I looked at this image, extreme exposures, from highlight the blue sky there to this here, to people sitting in the restaurant. Look at the depth of field here. Deep shadows here. So I used all the tools in the capturing of the image to make sure that I get maximum performance from my sensor. Look here, look at the focus here. I can get so much from this image. And one of the secrets, what did I do? I used the gradation. So I played with the tonal adjustments in the camera, knowing that I can correct it if need be in Workspace. Now just to see what happens. If I go to the normal setting, here you can see this is what the camera was looking at, because I used -1 EV. So I managed the sensor, I managed the dynamic range, and I played with tonal adjustments to make sure that I get the right look for my image at the end of the day. It's just amazing. Once you learn what is possible with these cameras, the creative options is just does not stop. So let's go on to a color profile. I created a database, and I'll put a copy onto the net, onto the web, that you can download the complete database. I used 17 of my own images, so you have 10 profiles here. So the way I did it is I created 17 photos. So I did 17 raw conversions in Workspace using the natural picture mode and basic settings. So I did no editing really, but the emphasis on natural picture mode. And I then converted each of these images in a Porta and an Extra Elite and in all these profiles here with and I did it with a film pack. Then I copied the originals also into each of these folders. So each of these folders has 17 copies natural mode and the profile version of that same image. That makes it possible for me to easily create my profile. So let's go to the Porta just as example. So here you see the 17 images. I just want to reset this one here. So where you see photo, that's the natural picture mode. So here you see the 7. I just want to reset this one also. You can see that I was exercising here, and there you have the Porta version. So as you go down, you have the Porta version, and there are 10 packages like this, 10 different Kodak profiles. Spend time with them, compare the images, you know, you do. It's very easy to do it. So when you have an image in front of you, you obviously have this option selected here, bottom right. If I do a change here, if I edit this image here, and I want to look at the before after, I would select this function here, and then you see the before after. So I can reset it again. No, there's no before after now. I can go back to the image mode. And then I have an option in Workspace which has really come very interesting. So I have the natural picture mode. This is the one on top. Let's just do this image here. So I have the natural picture mode here, and then I can then select, I need to change that. I can then select the color profile one, the Kodak profile, the Porta 400. And now you can see the difference between the color profile and the natural picture mode on the left. Now remember, we're looking at 3 stages when we develop a profile. We're looking at the exposure, we're looking at the image creation part in the TruePic processor, and we're looking at the tonal, the final image look, or the gamma curve portion. So exposure, image creation, and tonal or gamma. I want to show you the image creation, the color part. So this function here, the adjust color function, this is the function that makes the PenF, the EP7 and the OM3 so special. Yes, they all have the creative dial. The PenF and the OM3 are very specific PenF of creative dial, and the EP7 has a little different version, but the same functionalities are available as the creative dial in the EP7. So in these 3 cameras, we can adjust the saturation of individual colors, 12 individual colors. This is so unique. It's not only unique to target individual colors. What is even more unique is Olympus gave us a window access into the image processing mode in the TruePic processor. Remember, the TruePic processor environment is copied onto Workspace. So as Olympus is creating the color image, they gave us a window to step in there, and with the 3 settings, with the exposure, color and tonal, we have the option to influence the final look of the image, the final color look of the image. Remember, the base Kodak color technology is always available, but Olympus gave us a new layer that we can place on top of the Kodak technology to influence the final look. It's a much more powerful option than to do changes afterwards, after the color creation process. We now part of the color creation process of Olympus. Okay, so in these three cameras, the EP7, the PenF and OM3, we have the saturation option. In the cameras, I think it's called Vivid, I'm not sure, especially the Color Creator is called Vivid, but it's also a saturation setting. And in Workspace we get two more. So you have the normal HSL option in Workspace, which means luminance or brightness, so I can adjust the brightness of that color, or I can shift the color a little left or right. In other words, if you look at the colors, it's important to make a note of what I will say now. So here, one is yellow, the next one is going from yellow to red, so this one is yellow to red. Then we have red, then red to magenta, so this one is red to magenta. Here we have magenta, then magenta to blue, so this one is magenta to blue, blue to cyan, cyan to green, green, and green to yellow, yellow. So these are the colors we can adjust. In the first part, it's the saturation of this, the green to yellow, or the yellow to red, or the red, for example. It quickly gets a little more complex than saturation, because I can only contribute it to the complexities of copying a film look into the digital sphere or the digital environment. It's more than just a saturation setting. So yes, we already have a major advantage with these three cameras, because in the field we can make specific image changes or color changes. But if you really want to copy this look here on the right, you need a little more, and you will see it right now. So let's look at the different image. I like to, I was trying this one this morning, so let's go. Before I do that, just something interesting. The yellow here means this image is active. So any changes I'll do here is going to be applied on this image. We normally want to build the color profile for the natural picture mode, or the picture mode you selected. I just want to go here and reset this image. I notice I haven't done it yet. And then I want to select a different image for this exercise. So here we can do the horses. I think they are very nice. And then we can go to the profile version of this image. And here we have it. So on the left hand we have the natural picture mode, and on the right hand side we have the color profile from DxOMark, so the Porta 400 version of this image. When you look at these images, look at the sky here on the left and look at the sky on the right. So is it the color profile that created this, or was there an exposure adjustment when I applied the Kodak Porta 400 with the film pack? I think there was a exposure adjustment. You can see it with the horses. Look at here. You can see it at the back here, and you can even see it to the front here. There was definitely an exposure adjustment. So let's do that. Let's see what happens if we do a small adjustment. Not much change because I'm on the wrong image. Look here, the yellow there. So let's reset the profile, select the right image, and then do the exposure adjustment. Not much. I even have a bit of blue there. Let's do one more. Now I can, with the horses, I can slowly see. I'm very bright on the top here. I don't want to be too bright in here. Let's take it one back, and then we can do a tonal adjustment. Instead of a exposure adjustment, let's move to the tonal side and up the midtones just a little. So I'm now ignoring the highlights and the deep shadows. And now it becomes interesting. So I get, look at the sunlight here on the leg, and look at it there. The color is not in yet, so the colors are still not the same, but I get more and more. I can do, let's up the highlights a little, because you have it here on this side. I could even up the highlights another step, which is showing, let's up the midtones one more, and I think we are getting close. So in terms of exposure and tonal configuration, I think these two images seem reasonably close. You have a bit of blue there. You have more detail in the sky here, but let's keep it like that. You know, I don't want to overdo the sky and then lose the bottom. One final step, you can see that we have a little more contrast in the image. So I want to add this contrast, and we do it normally with the tone curve, which is available in Workspace. Let's add a slight S curve, and now you can see the similarity between the two images way clearer than before, especially the horses and the shadows, the contrast here in the grass here on this side. So long before we did any color changes, we did the settings necessary to get these two images to look very similar. When the profile is done and you apply it to an image, you might still adjust the tonal curve, because it's not fixed in cement. It's always a process of referencing your own color preference and adapting the profile or the color look to your image. I start by adjusting one color at a time. So in this case, the greens are very dominant, and I'm going to start with the greens and then try and get this greens here to look the same as here. What is immediately interesting is the yellow, the little flowers here, and you can zoom in if you want. Sorry, I need to reactivate this side here, and here you can see the real difference in color in the images. Also, there's more color in the grass here on the top here. So take the time and study the image, get a feel for what's happening. Here you can see a little flower, and there's a difference there, not much. Yeah, look at this difference here to there. And then you can start establishing, what do I need to adjust? Now, Workspace or Olympus added a very nice feature here, and that is when we move the cursor over the active area here, the color is shown to us in the color wheel here, as well as the sliders. So look again, so when I move the cursor here, you can see, it's between 10 and 11 on the color wheel, and it's closer to 11, so the green to yellow will have a bigger influence than the green, but both are changing this here. If I move it here, I see it's more 11. If I go to the back, it's still more 11. Here you can see again, it's a mix. Let's see what's happening on the top. It's yellow. And if we go here, so we have three colors playing, influencing the scene here. It's 10 green, then green to yellow 11, and yellow 0. So these are the three colors we will have to adjust to get to the profile look here. So let's start with them. So if we do the 10-11 side, then obviously looks like a desaturation. I think you will agree on that, and that's why I'm going to do it, and it's quite a steep desaturation. So let's do 2 steps at a time here. 1 2 1 2. And just make sure that you are in the saturation part here. Now you can see here, we're moving closer. So let's do one more. And this is the process you will follow. What I'm doing here is exactly what you will do as you develop your own profiles. But we can already see that we are desaturating. Yes, that's right. But we are not, we are moving further away from this green here. Let's just test it and do one more. And here you can clearly see. So remember, compare this part with that part. Don't just look at the complete image. Focus on the top here and focus on the top there. Remember the colors. There's the colors we need to change. And something is not perfectly aligning with us here. So let's go back one step. And let's see if we can shift the green with a hue adjustment. So again 10, 11. And I want to get to a more yellowish color, also for the sake of this. So I want to move to a more yellowish color. Let's add this to the 11 here and see what we get. Little bit. Let's add one more. So what we did was we got a little closer. If I go here, let's just see. So it's the 11 part still. And if I do this one, because the two colors are always working together, now you can see something is happening. You see that we're getting closer now. So let's do one more. You can definitely see something is happening here. I want to up the yellow. Let's do a yellow saturation first. So we do one step yellow in terms of saturation. But obviously you can see that I need to shift the yellow here. I need to move the yellow a little. And we go to the hue part. We shift the yellow. And we can highlight the yellow just to see if we get closer. Let's move it one more. You can see the horse is also sort of following what we're doing here. Now we're very close. And look at the similarity between the vegetation here now and the vegetation there now. Yeah? Yeah, we are very close. We're not perfectly close yet. I wonder if I up this one more, if it will help. Yeah, we still have some green here. I might have to take one step more in that direction there. Yeah, here you can see the change happening. It's not as much as here. What one can do is I can adjust the luminance on that green there, which will take me even a little bit closer. But we're getting closer now. The thing that we need to keep in mind is we need to keep on adjusting step by step. That looks much closer. So this takes time. So you really need to go back and forth between. So we're already outside the camera capability. So I often get the question of what should I use? So should I use the camera for profiles or workspace? It depends on what you want to do. You can do some on-the-fly color adjustments while you do photography to highlight something because all this practice helps you to work better with the color adjustments in the camera. But if you really want to copy like a Kodak profile, it's probably better to do it, or more effective to do it in workspace and to save that profile as an image. Just for somebody asked a question in one of the videos, how do I save this as a sort of a permanent profile? We have two options or three options. We have the clipboard. So if I press the clipboard, then my immediate settings here are saved. I can also, but when I go out of workspace, if I close it, then the clipboard settings are lost, obviously. If I want to keep the settings, I can program them to one of these 4 areas here. So let's select this one. This port of 400, I already did it, seems to me, and press OK. Now my settings is saved, and if I want to use them, I press that one there, and I can then select which of these settings I want to apply. I'm not going to do it now, we've already done it, but this is how easy it is. And if I close the program and open it, this data is still available in this clipboard section, if you may. Let's move on. I want to have a look at the horse on the left hand side. What colors are we working here? You can see 1 and 2, so yellow to red and red. These are the 2 colors that we're working with. And if you look at this horse here, I guess I need to add a little red to this image here. And if I do it there, let's just see, am I on saturation? Yes. Let's add red, just see what happens. Maybe not the right, no, it doesn't seem right. And if I do the yellow to red, if I do one more, there's an interesting result. It's not the same yet. So it might be necessary to shift this yellow to red again in the hue. So there, and there you can see I have red, so I'm shifting it, and now I'm very close. I can try one more. I am going to leave it at that because we can correct this in a different scene. Here you can see the yellow there. Remember, the yellow we've done to this point is down at with these flowers, but here might be a little difference. It might also be exposure. Let's reduce the exposure here on the top. Now we're only relying on tonal settings. There we are. So now we're closer. Everything else is still very similar here. I'm quite happy with this. Is really an interesting result. So let's go out. Yeah. So now we basically did a few colors in this one image. If we go to something, let's have a look at reds, or let's have a look at blue skies. This is an interesting image to look at. This is the Kodak version. Let's look at the natural picture mode version. Then we go and select the Kodak version of this image too. And then we activate this one again. It's so important, don't forget to do that. And now we want to apply our settings. Now we can do it here, for example, because we saved our settings, and we're going to say, okay, yeah, do it like that. We might have to do one change, and that's the exposure compensation. Let's just do that. Remember, we apply the exposure compensation. And if you look at the grass, very much the same. I think it's quite nice. The yellows, yeah. The trees at the back, great job. I think really nice. Even the wheel here, very similar to this. Now the one that I like to see is the red, because we did something with a horse. And let's go back to the color adjust tool, or just color tool, and let's see what is. So we're talking about 2. We never adjusted 2. It's mainly 2. This seems a little darker red than this here. So if I'm at saturation here, let's desaturate the one on the left. No, this is the wrong direction. Let's saturate it and see what happens. Not bad. If I focus in, oh, what would you do here? We can shift the red a little. Let's do it and see what happens. And this is not, it's moving more to magenta. Can you see that red is very difficult to work with? Let's go back to saturation and bring this red back here. So now we still have a magenta in here. So we don't like that. We can go to the hue here and reset that, and rather look at a brightness. Let's up the brightness of red here on the left, and I think this is closer. This is a closer look to what the red should be. Now we can save this again. We can say, okay, we want to save all these changes now, and it's now in that memory section there. And then we can have a quick study. Here you can see something interesting. It looks like there's a green cast here. Let me show you something interesting. We have more, so click there to get back to the normal size. Yeah. If you go back to the first image with the horses, you will see that the yellows was probably still a little darker. They're now very close. But remember, we have another adjustment. I just want to show this to you while we at it, and that is a color filter. So I can select, if I want to up the yellows, you could select a chrome yellow. I always select the maintain luminance side here and then add more yellow. So let's see what happens to the image. Very interesting. Maybe not a problem. I think we gained a little. Instead of losing, we gained a little. Now remember, this is a global setting. This is not a targeted setting. But obviously you can see the area that we need to work on is the yellows. So let's go there. Look at the man with the red shirt here. That looks similar. So we want to change this here. So we go to the adjust color tool, and we look at it. This is 6 to 7. On this side it's more in the middle. On this side here we're moving closer to the blue to cyan color. So here we have cyan, more blue on this side. Now we know what to adjust if we want to adjust. Here we have a very different blue. So you can immediately see the exposure seems very similar. The tonal adjustment seems very similar. I wonder if we shouldn't go directly to the hue here and do a hue adjustment. So again, we can see 6 to 7, closer to 7. So let's start with 6, and we go in that direction. We don't want to add more blue, we want to add more cyan. So let's do that. See what happens. Not yet. 7. Let's go to the saturation, and we desaturate blue a little, take out the blue dominance and add more cyan. One more. We take some blue away. Very interesting what's happening here. If we go to the hue side, we might go this direction. Now we're adding magenta a little. Let's do more, one more. See what happens here. No, I want to switch this one over here and just see if I can get some result there. I think we're moving closer. If you now amplify this, if you zoom in, then you can see I'm getting closer here to the colors. On this side, maybe I did this one step too much. Yeah, I'm getting closer and closer. So I'm going to leave it for now. I'm going to leave this. I think you get the picture of how to create color by color your profile. So I've done one this morning. You know that here we can save our profiles. So let's say we've created our profile here now. Then what we can do is we can test it on some of the other images. Let's go to this example here, and we look at the Kodak profile of that one, and we then apply the profile here. And this would be very interesting to see. Now I made a mistake again. We don't want to apply to the profile. We want to apply it to the natural mode. So we apply it. And look at the similarity here. We are very close, even in the sky. We can try another one. Let's try this one because it's nice with a contrast here. Let's find the profile version of this image and then select the one, apply the profile. Very nice. You can see the exposure is a match. Skies is a little tamed here on this side, but the colors are right. The contrast is very similar to the contrast in the profile. I think we've done a good job. I think we've created a new profile, a Porta 400. Obviously, some fine-tuning will benefit this Porta version. If you like, let me know in the comments, and I'll give you this one. Let's save it. So I'll save a version of this here, Porta, and I can then give you the EOS file. You can save it on your PC, apply it to any one of these photos here, and then continue this fine-tuning this color profile. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was something worthwhile learning for you, and I'd love to see and hear from you. And how are you doing? Are you winning with this? Would you like me to explain something in more detail? It would be awesome to follow your progress in this journey of discovering your Olympus camera. So thank you. Bye.